today we are here with Adam Thompson, who has
No relation.
who has been with Focal Point for a very long time, and we're very excited to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Gabrielle.
Awesome. Um, so Adam, you've been with Focal
Mhm.
Point for how many years now?
It will be 10 years next summer. So
Wow,
9.5 years. Yeah,
that's awesome. And
that's great.
so why did you decide to join Focal Point 10 years ago? What brought you here?
It's kind of a long and winding journey. I came to Focal Point first and foremost because I was looking for my own thing. I was at the time working for a locally held small business, and I'd done well. We were experiencing some success, and I didn't see a long term fit. I didn't see anything that was going to come out of that job that got me really excited for anything beyond kind of what I was doing day to day. And I also didn't see any long term job period that excited me.
Right.
And what kind of got the ball going actually was I was in an interview for a job that I thought sounded interesting, and the one of the interviews on the other side said, I think you'd be good at this, and I know you could do the job, and I think you'd be a fit, and I don't get the impression that you're going to be happy until you own your own business.
Really?
Yeah, and that kind of, you know, it
Yeah.
was like the one interview question I didn't have an answer for, right? So I took that home, and Carol, my wife, and I were talking that night. And she said, "How'd the interview go?" And I said, "Well, it was good." And but then the guy said this thing, and he said he doesn't think I'd be happy until I own my own business. And she goes, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
Oh,
Well, that would have been, good
yes.
information for you to share with me recently, and so that kind of got me thinking about it, and not taking any action, but just kind of put a little seed in the back of my head, and then in those next few months, this is in kind of, summer of 2015, just a bunch
Mhm.
of things started lining up. Some personal things happened in my life, that kind of made me think about the clock's ticking, and some professional things started lining up, and some financial things started lining up where there felt like there was some runway to maybe go take a chance on myself.
Right.
And I was whatever, midlife crisis type of thing. I was coming up on 40. I've been thinking about a business for the last 10 years, and 30 to 40 went really fast, and 40 to 50 will go even faster, and it has.
Hmm.
And so that started this kind of journey of looking around. In the process, the company I was with went through a coaching engagement, wherein
Oh,
this person came in and made us better, right? I mean, did the things that a good coach does, a good organization does, in making small businesses better. And so as I looked around at buying a business, at starting a business, someone introduced me to Focal Point, and that led to this other journey of what is this, and what is this coaching thing, and could I do that? And the more conversations I had, um, the more attempts I tried to find a reason to say no that kept getting pushed aside and knocked down, the more and more, it just felt right. It felt like the right fit. It felt like, oh, this is the thing that I've been training for to do over the last 20 years of business life. And, eventually you get to a point where you can't say no anymore. So you have to say yes. And here we are.
that's awesome. I actually had never heard how you found Focal Point too, so that's really interesting to hear. Um,
There's a lot more, but it's only a, 30-minute thing. So I keep it tight.
I appreciate that because I could talk forever, so someone
Uh-huh.
has to keep us accountable. Um, and sorry, so what was that? Wait, like what kind of work were you doing? You said that you were with different businesses, and you had never really found that, but were you in operations? Like what was the jobs that you were typically in before?
It was everything from, management to ops to building a team to, owning a P&L to running a division to starting a division. But everything was always, I think, centered on sales, right? I mean, I've been a sales guy for all of my career, right?
Right.
If someone asks me what I do, I say, coach first, and then, I'm a salesperson, right? I believe that the best way to learn an organization is to sell their product or sell their service because it forces you to get involved in everything.
Yeah.
And so every role I've had has had a sales component to it. Even if I wasn't necessarily, carrying a bag or managing accounts, it was always with an eye to the sales process and the sales team and how do we develop that and make that better? Because if we can make that better, we can make the organization better.
Okay. I actually completely agree with that. I think, if you can't sell it and you don't know what it is that you're selling, it really does familiarize you with what it is. That was a big thing for me too, with joining Focal Point and
Yeah.
actually learning everything and being like, oh yeah, if I had to pitch it, what would I say?
There is that. I don't think, I mean, it's not a prerequisite for
Oh,
success in an
yeah.
organization. I think, I mean, trust me, there are plenty of blind spots with us salespeople in terms of how things actually need to happen.
Mhm.
I think the difference is that you get a holistic view of an organization. And that said, it's like, it's a mile wide and an inch deep. What you know enough to be dangerous in terms of all the different aspects. And we need to be able to rely on the experts on the ops side, on the finance side, on the marketing side,
Mhm.
on the customer service, the client development, the logistics, all those things. We need the experts there to be able to effectively sell the product, sell the service.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And so going back a little bit now to what you had
Yeah. Yeah.
previously said, it's really interesting that you had two people say to you, you should own your own business. You won't be happy until you are
Yeah.
running your own business.
Yeah.
Um, and so interesting that it's, you know, the same day pretty much you went to an interview and your wife was like, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Um,
She kind of validated it. Yeah.
And so was that uh, once you kind of looked into it and looked into coaching and looked into Focal Point, was there something that made you nervous about making that big leap and all of a sudden becoming a part of your own
Yeah.
business and being that person?
I mean, it'd be easier to talk about the things that didn't make me nervous than the things
Mm.
that did because the nervous list was long, right? I mean, there
Right.
were uh, you're you lose all safety net,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, look, that's what's exciting about it.
Mhm.
And it's terrifying at the same time, and it should be terrifying.
Yeah,
Like if you go into this thing with no fear, oof, that's a dangerous spot to be, right?
definitely.
You should have you shouldn't doubt might not be the right word, but you should go into this thing with some trepidation, right? This is a big decision. Buying a business, starting a business, is there's risk involved, right? And we always need to balance, and this is coaching 101, right? Is we're helping people balance the risk versus the reward, right? And
Yeah.
try to talk those things out. Um, for me, it was losing benefits. It was losing obviously the salary, the set paycheck. And now the paycheck was always the same, and there wasn't a lot of upside, but there wasn't downside either, right? You manage your
Right.
budget, you figure it out. It was, will I actually be good at this, right? Will people actually believe that I can add value. For me, at the time, a just barely 40-year-old, with a,
Mhm.
relatively, you know, youthful look. I mean, at the time, every coach had a little, gray around the temples. They all wore glasses. I did not. I felt like I looked young. I acted
Mhm.
young. I didn't know if I'd have any credibility at all, and that was a huge concern, right? I am pretty, I go fast. I move in a lot of different directions. I can get distracted by some shiny objects. Could I create a process, or could I follow a process and stick with it? Right. I mean, there were a lot of things that I had to really kind of chew on. And then ultimately it just becomes, boy, do I want to write the check? Right. Do I
Yeah.
want to, do I want to pay someone for the right to, for at least a bit of time, not make any money? That's a big proposition.
Yeah, no kidding. I know that that's probably one of the main things that comes into
Mm-hmm.
people's mind, especially
100%.
at that stage, where you're making that leap. And
Yeah.
so then for you, how did
Yeah.
you manage that uncertainty? And what were the things that you did that eased your own mind and, or maybe not eased your own mind, but at least
Yeah.
made you
Yeah.
keep moving
Yeah.
forward?
Right. I talked to a lot of coaches. I mean, I was in terms of the coach onboarding, and in terms of what that looked like back in 2015. uh, I'm sure I was not the favorite candidate, because I mean, I took a long time. I think I started talking to someone at Focal Point in December,
Mhm.
and I signed my agreement in like May.
Oh, wow.
I stretched it out, and I talked to successful coaches, and talked to coaches who were struggling, and I talked to old coaches and young coaches. There weren't a ton of young coaches at the time, but I found them, and I talked to people that, you know, that flamed out, that left, right? I
Right.
mean, I wanted to hear all of it, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to hear, I wanted to try to uncover the warts and figure out what was, why this thing might not work, right? What do I need to watch out for? Is there anything that I can glean from these conversations to say, all right, if you do it this way, yes. If you do it this way, no. Um, and the conversations. What stuck out with me were the conversations with the people who left, and
Really?
they were, oh my gosh, they were gracious, and they were appreciative of the opportunity, and every one of them said, this thing can work. It just didn't work for me for whatever reason, right? I kept waiting for someone to say it doesn't work, and that was never the case. It was I figured out that, I maybe wasn't right for this, and not that Focal Point wasn't a powerful tool. The coaches I did talk to really just came back and said, you know, here's my story. Here's how
Mhm.
it's worked for me. Here's how I've made it work. And here's my advice for you, right? And that was the most meaningful. As everyone had, I left with a little bit of insight into how to make this thing work based on what they told me, and that really was powerful.
Yeah.
You start diving in, you dig into culture, you dig into kind of the operation and the structure and the people, and it always came back to the values and the people, in that the way Focal Point goes to work every day, the way these coaches go to work, the way the leadership goes to work, just kind of matched up with, you know, who I was and who I saw myself being, who I wanted to be. And, frankly, one of my concerns was, I don't know if I can live up to the caliber of the coaches around me. And that itself just pushed me to work hard, right?
Yeah. No kidding.
I don't know if
That
that answered the question. I don't
no,
know.
that definitely did.
Okay.
That's really interesting. I mean, this is one of my favorite parts of talking to coaches is I never hear that kind of stuff. And I never
Mm,
hear those little personal details about
yeah.
coaching. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased and I love Focal Point, and
Right.
So but my favorite part is always hearing those little personal details that people
Yeah.
have and as to what their own personal journey is. Um,
Hmm.
it's just so interesting. And I don't hear a lot about the coaches that have left. I work with the coaches that are here. And
Sure. Yeah.
so that's definitely a really interesting little piece of insight.
Yeah.
Um, and so what helped you push kind of once you did start and
Hmm.
you were there and you listened to all these coaches, what made you keep pushing past those doubts in the beginning, with you being you said you felt you were younger and
Yeah.
uh, a different kind of person than a lot of coaches that you had met. And so you
Hmm.
had some of those doubts about yourself in the beginning and what showed you that that isn't always the case and kept pushing through.
Well, I mean, the first thing was there was no other option, right?
Right.
It was, make this work, right?
Hmm.
You will not fail at this. You will find a way to make this work. I really did look at it like, all right, if all the stats say X number of small businesses are out of business by the end of year two. Like I said, well, okay, we're giving ourselves 2 years in this thing to make it work, right? And 2 years can be bigger, can be smaller. There are obviously some benchmarks and some kind of expectations along the way of, okay, we need to get to this point, we need to get to this point, you need to replace your income, you need to grow, you need to start building. Uh, and for me, it was like, and even Carol said, just run this thing for 2 years and just, you know,
Yeah.
get out there and do it. And what I found was, listen, there's a lot of tools, right? And
Mhm.
the training is good and it's strong and it puts you into a process. And I committed to the process, right? I mean, who am I to say I can turn this thing on its ear and do it a completely different way compared to all these coaches that I know with whom I've been speaking who are successful at it, who follow the process. So a lot of it for me was just commit to the process, right?
Right.
And I mean, it made sense to me, right? The kind of the way you walk someone down a path through conversations that can lead to them potentially getting to the point where they're ready to say, yeah, let's get to work, let's do some things. That worked for me, right?
Hmm.
The ongoing support, the development of the community of, my cohort who were with me in certification, the people with whom I was jumping on with, Strong Start and Curious Coach and all the things that we offer after you're out of certification, when you're out in the world and you're all by yourself and you're running around your community trying to like have conversations with people, knowing that it's my business, it's on me. My success is entirely dependent on what I do every day, and then also knowing that there are people that are in that same boat with me, and I'm going to see them every week and or every couple of weeks or whatever that rhythm is, and I'm going to interact with them, and I'm going to share what's working and what's not, and they're going to do the same thing, and we're going to collaborate on what could you have done a little bit differently to make a different outcome, or what could I have done, or frankly, just do more of it, right? Look at your
Yeah.
numbers, look at my numbers, look at your numbers. My numbers are bad, your numbers are good. I got to catch up to you. That even that bit of kind of, you know, peer-to-peer competition, right? Um,
Hmm.
it pushes me, right?
Yeah.
It certainly pushed me. It juiced me up.
Okay. Yeah. I it's a great answer. It's so funny. Every single time I ask you a question, I have all these other ones running through my head and you keep answering them.
Yeah.
You're great. I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty and
I,
not
you
do.
know, I think there's I think about this a lot with in even conversations with other prospective coaches or
Mhm.
new coaches, and the things I always come back to are, day one, when you have zero clients and zero revenue,
Mhm.
um, it's a sales job. This
Yeah.
is a business development job. It is a sales job, and it is like this. And as you get going, and here's your sales and biz dev, and here's your, you know, coaching
Yeah.
activity, right? It starts to do this, right? And we all have to find whatever that equilibrium is, right? Where do you want your business to be? And the more of this you do up front, the quicker this is going to raise, and you're never going to stop that activity, right? And as you get better and you develop your client list, you get to do more and more and more of the work. And the pitfalls with people are that they either, they got to accept that it starts 100% out there in the world doing the thing, right? And this is a relational business. This is a one-to-one conversation. Get to know someone, learn about their business, learn about their profession, learn about what they're trying to do, what are their aspirations, what are their hopes and dreams and fears, and what's going well, what's not going well, and see if you can possibly be a person that could kind of walk that journey with them. And you've got to be willing to have those conversations, right?
Yes.
You've got to be, I think, a little bit like, I think that fear side, it's healthy, right? A little bit of imposter syndrome, a little
Right.
bit is healthy, right? Like, I get up every day, um, every client engagement. I am thinking about, am I adding value? Am I providing value? Am I being a good coach? Right. And that fuels me. And that kind of feeling of, boy, could I have done better? Can I do better for them? Is there more I can do? Is there more I should be doing? It keeps me, it sharpens the edge, right? And it gives me that push to get better. Because if we're not getting better, and we're not finding new ways to add value and drive value for our clients, they're not going to be clients anymore.
Yeah.
And just like how I kind of said, if you don't have any fear when you start, it's going to be trouble. If you don't have a little bit of that desire to figure out a way to get better,
Yeah.
we're either growing or we're shrinking, right? So we've just got to keep growing as coaches.
Yeah, no kidding. So, if someone's ever afraid of failing or has that same fear, lean into it. And
Lean into it.
I like
Figure out a way
that.
to get better, right? Fix
Yeah.
it though, right? You can't, if there's too much and you just curl up in a ball, you're done for.
Yeah.
If you have none of it and you just keep doing what you're doing and don't find ways to get better, you're done for, right?
Yeah.
There's a balance there of
100%.
I can do this better. I need to do this better. I should have done better here. How do I improve? Got to do it.
Yeah.
Get better every day. 1% rule, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's it's that balance. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that is important in every aspect of life. And every
Yeah.
decision has fear. And, this
Yeah.
is different and unique, but at the same time, it's just like everything else that includes risk in life. And
Right.
so I think you captured that perfectly. It's really that
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, it gets to a point where it gets exhilarating, right?
Right.
It's exciting to, be in an engagement where you feel like maybe you're just a little bit over your head and you've got to work really hard to keep up and keep up the pace and stay ahead. And I mean, it makes you better, and getting better is fun,
Yeah, it really is. It's,
right?
I mean, I think it's the best part is,
Yeah.
you know, one-upping yourself every step
Right.
of the way. And
Yeah.
because I am
Yeah.
competitive too. And,
Yeah.
that I love that. I love trying to show up the next day better than I was the day before.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Absolutely.
yeah, well, thank you so much, Adam. That was
Yeah,
really wonderful, and it was really
my
lovely
pleasure.
to speak with you. Um,
Thank you, Gabrielle.